happened to one of my older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and so there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he did.
That was a lie right from the outset.
Incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
That's
so I
personal
was tricked into doing this, it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. And we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't imagine that, man. Gender affirming care, all this BS that they keep pushing. Wokeness is a mental disease, man. Wow. Like, I don't even know what to say about that, man. As a father of two sons, bro, oh my God. Yo, if that's one issue that animates me, that pushes me, hey, when I get like 5 views on a video, I keep going. Some of the this is what I talk about. Like I just released a video. Depending on when you're watching this, I have a video called "How I Became a Conservative," and one of the concepts that I believe is one of my core beliefs for why I believe in conservatism is intentions versus reality, or sorry, intentions versus results. The intentions of gender affirming care does not meet the results that it claims that it wants. If gender affirming care is this idea that you want to validate someone's lie about themselves. Hey, let's do an obvious example. I'm a black man, right? If I say, hey, I am a white man, the gender affirming care argument is to do everything they can with, like, either through cosmetic surgery, either through social conditioning, to force people to validate a lie about myself. Problem is, reality is reality. Reality is going to smack you in the face, and you're going to realize that you're not actually white. AKA, you're going to realize you're not actually a woman, right? And I make numerous examples of this, right? Evidence is too dangerous, politically, financially, and psychologically, for some people to allow it to become a threat to their interests or to their own sense of themselves. This is gender affirming care. This is gender identity. This is gender fluidity. This crap. They want to go against the reality that it's only two genders. You're a man or a woman. And if you're a man, you can never be a woman. If you're a woman, you can never be a man. And when you do transition, you're not equipped to handle that new lifestyle, right? My numerous example is a trans woman is going to realize she's not a woman, right? Because that person is going to be doing things differently than a naturally born woman would not do. When a natural woman goes through her issue every month, this is what I call a period, they're going to be like, oh, they're going to fake having one. If they do the whole 9 yards, apparently they have to have this little weird, I'm not even going to describe it, but they have to do certain procedures to maintain the wound that they gave themselves, while natural women don't have to do that. And these little instances is going to remind that trans person that in reality, they are not actually that thing. And that's why they'll still do suicide. That's why suicide still happens even after they do the gender surgery. And to me, as a conservative, that's evil. Like we're trying to validate mental illness here. And don't come here saying I'm being hateful. I'm not. The science already backed it up that most people who are trans, majority of them already suffer from a pre-existing mental disorder. But this is what the left calls as kindness. No, that's cruelty. And you can see it on Elon's face. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. And this is not the first time he talks about this too. Here is another clip of him talking about how deceitful, hateful wokeness is, and then we'll continue with his interview with Jordan Peterson. Let's take a look.
You're working on some of those problems, but the problem of wokeness specifically, you mentioned that's like a mind virus and it's destructive. And why do you think wokeness is so destructive?
I'd be interested in your opinions too. But, you know, like, I mean, generally, I think we should be aiming for like a positive society, and you know, that it should be okay to, you know, be humorous. Like, you know, like we should like wokeness basically wants to make comedy illegal, which is not cool.
We've experienced a little bit of that.
I mean, Chappelle, like what the
flower bed.
I mean, try to shut down Chappelle? Come on, man, that's crazy. You know, so do we want a humorless society that is simply rife with condemnation and hate, basically?
And no forgiveness, right?
Yeah. At its heart, wokeness is divisive, exclusionary, and hateful. It basically gives mean people a reason. It gives them a shield to be mean and cruel, armored in false virtue.
Yeah, he's right. Woke people are armored in fake, false virtue. Misery loves company, right? This is a person, she reacted to something that concerning children often do grow out of it. J.K. Rowling would be correct. J.K. Rowling claims that the best cure for gender dysphoria is to let the child go through puberty. And this is the conservative position on gender affirming care. Conservatives believe that you must live in reality, not in your imagination, right? Because this is the difference between the left and the right, right? And I keep going back to the dichotomy, but politics are driven by core beliefs, by belief systems, whether through religious, through evidence, through principles, through a moral code. Many people view politics as an avenue to advocate for these approaches. And conservatives believe you have to live in reality, not in your imagination. When you don't live in a moral society, you live in a society that lacks self-control. And that's what we're having here right now. Self-control will tell you, hey, don't lie to your child. You're not a woman. You'll never be a woman. No matter how much money you put in, no matter how much you pay these doctors, you're only hurting yourself further. And the results show for it. The evidence show strongly that is the case. Suicide ideation still continues no matter if you do the surgery or you don't. But we're saying the best cure is to live in reality, to really accept who you truly are. But instead, the left rather you lie, do all these mental gymnastics, and in reality, when they continue smacking you in the face, you end up detransitioning. The lucky ones end up detransitioning. The not so lucky ones end up taking their own life, like Elon's son. Let's get to Elon Musk and his interview with Jordan Peterson, because I think this is an interesting video, and I believe this will open up more on his motivations for why he do what he does. Let's take a look.
Well, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
Yes, I've interviewed a couple of people who've done exactly that, and it's
right.
Damn painful.
So, so I think doing.
Why are you willing to make this an issue? Do you think? I mean,
well,
it's sort of like the
happened to one of my.
issue.
It happened to one of my older boys, where I was essentially tricked into signing documents for one of my older boys, Xavier. This is before I had really any understanding of what was going on, and we had COVID going on, and
And here's the funny part: if this stuff happens naturally, right? I'm sorry, I'm cutting the video off. If this stuff happens naturally, why do people in these woke people in these public education systems, such as in elementary school, middle school, high school, have to go behind parents' back and make these little social clubs that don't need approval from the principal? How convenient. They don't notify their parents of stuff. California just passed a law where teachers are allowed to withhold information, essentially creating an incentive where someone can misuse the rules and end up grooming a child. This is one of the potential dangers of that policy. This is why Elon Musk took his company out. You hear his motivation. And as a father, I agree with him. I would have done the exact same thing. Because these people, Democrats, they don't, any politician, fuck it. Let me make it apolitical. Politicians only respond to consequences. They don't respond to you complaining, you sending a letter, only consequences. You have to make them lose their seat because that's the only thing they seem to care about. Their money and their position. I digress. Let's get back.
So there was a lot of confusion. I was told, Xavier might commit suicide if he did.
That was a lie right from the outset. No reliable clinician ever believed that. There was never any evidence for that. And also, if there's a higher suicide rate, the reason is because of the underlying depression and anxiety and not because of the gender dysphoria. And every goddamn clinician knows that too. And they're too cowardly to come out and say it. Right? And so
And there's another thing too. We don't have enough courage nowadays. And this is another reason I started my channel. Now, this is just me on my part-time. This is my form of activism, right? Because the Stoics, right? I know a lot of you guys like my Stoic stuff. So here's one of the quotes that I really resonate with from the Stoics is that what a shame to essentially go, I'm paraphrasing it because I don't remember word for word, but essentially goes, what's the point of all this knowledge if you don't use it? I said, I read all these books on politics, on history, on race issues, and I'm just keeping it to myself and not telling the world like what I have to offer. Like, I think that's selfishness in its own right, isn't it not? That you know things, right? You know your people are voting against their best interest in the long term. You know your people are getting swindled. I'm talking about America, not black people. I'm talking about all of Americans. I'm a Pan-American, right? Knowing that your people are getting swindled and duped into voting for policies that are not feasible or probable or practical, and it doesn't actually work. These policies that a lot of people, especially in the Democratic side, they push are counterproductive to the ends that they claim they want. If I keep that to myself, wouldn't that make me a selfish person? And it goes to the Christian morality that I was raised with by my parents. Do unto your neighbor that you want them to do unto you, right? Like, I would want someone to inform me if I'm doing something that is a mistake, or they at least give me another angle on what I'm actually doing, so I actually have a fuller picture on what I'm actually about to agree to. And this is the problem that I have with the left, because I believe they're morally irreprehensible. Like, you can't give a narrow-minded view on something. Oh, there's only one way to address this issue. And then the person do it, and then they still suffer negative results. They still end up losing their child. Bro, if you want to wake up a giant on the left, on the left-wing people, if you want to wake up a giant, keep targeting the kids. Keep trying to educate the kids. Because I already know your aims. I already know socialist aims. He who controls the children controls the future. This is one of the reasons why they want trans stuff, this gender ideology stuff, this identity politics stuff in the elementary classroom, because they know how impressionable young children are. And as parents, it is not only our duty, but our responsibility and our right to defend our child from getting values that does not help them. And gender identity does not help anyone but medical professionals, academics who push this stuff, the intellectual class, and the politicians. These are the only things that gender affirming care, gender identity actually help. Oh, and delusional people who wants to live in a lie and have everyone validate that lie. I digress.
End up in exactly when I saw that lie start to propagate, it just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's like, I see. So you're telling parents that unless they agree to this radical transformation that their children are going to die, and you think that's moral, and you think that's true. That is so pathological that it's almost incomprehensible. I can't imagine anything worse. I can't imagine a therapist doing anything worse than that, or sitting by idly and remaining silent while his colleagues are doing it. It's pathetic.
It's incredibly evil, and I agree with you that people that have been promoting this should go to prison.
It won't stop till that happens.
Yeah.
It'll just go underground. Puberty blockers are being accessed online by kids all the time through non-medical channels.
Yes, and there was a guy, I forgot his name. He ended up having an interview with Vice. He was selling puberty blockers online. I'm like, how you're allowed to sell this crap online? And that's another reason why, as a parent, you should not allow your young kids on social media. Me and my wife, that's one thing we agree on. Look, I know millennials get a lot of flack for raising these bad kids, Gen Alpha. My kids are not going to be like that because I'm an authoritative parent. Look it up if you don't know what that is. And I could be a very strict one at times, but I have my wife to balance me out, so I don't have to second guess my methods, right? Because my wife is a little gentler than compared to me. But we have a strict rule: our kids ain't having no social media until 13 years old, and even then, we'll train them on how they're supposed to appropriately navigate social media. Because I don't think my kids are in the right mind to actually go on that damn thing. And even if they do get access to it, it's going to be very limited and regulated, like I do with his Switch. My son has a Nintendo Switch. Yes, a 3-year-old with a Nintendo Switch. But that is better. I'd rather him play Mario and all that stuff on that thing than be on the internet. That's the trade-off I made. And even then, he has limited screen time. I give him 2 hours max in an entire day. I say, hey, look, we got a little timer. That thing go off. Hey, put it back. Put it back. Sometimes my son, he's 3. He'll go in and he'll turn the knob another 3 minutes. But then I have on my phone, I said, damn, it's 9:30. He should be done with the Switch now. And I come out, he's still on it. I say, hey, you increased the time, didn't you? He said, how do you know, Daddy? 3-year-olds, they're so mischievous. But this is some of the things that, as a parent, I think this is what makes it hard to be a parent in this day and age, because of all the dangers and influence that's trying to get into the minds of your children. And this is one of the reasons I also want to homeschool them too, because essentially I see homeschool as me preparing them for this world of politicized education, narrative making, people trying to control how their minds. And it resonates more with me what Frederick Douglass said, that a man who can read is forever free. Because I want my kids to be free thinkers. I want my kids to be skeptical. Because if you don't arm your kids against the world, if you don't give them that intellectual armor, they'll come back a disaster. And I think what happens to Elon's son must be an example to all of us. I'll let the last minutes play out, and then I'll give my final thoughts.
So, yeah,
Right.
It's not going to stop. Yeah. Okay, so I see. So that's
So I
personal
was
connection.
tricked into doing this, and it wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
All right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that. If we allow.
The way he looked at Jordan Peterson, he said, yo, this is a revenge story. And this is how the left creates more people like Elon Musk, who's donating $45 million a month to Donald Trump, right? Like, people think, oh, there's a cult around Trump. No, it's not a cult around Trump. It's a rejection of you, people on the left, because you guys defend this crap. And no matter how many studies come out, pre-blockers, all the negative counter effects, it doesn't It doesn't give you the outcome that actually solves the solution that you claim it does. Right? You keep pushing it on the youth when parents already establish a boundary that they don't like this acceptable to the kids. And instead of going to the persuasion route, they go to the government to try and enforce this stuff. When the parents do go to the government, enforce this stuff, they try other workarounds around it. And I agree with Jordan Peterson. These people are going to keep doing this until they gain a consequence. So let's give them one. Let's make homeschool a sizable minority. They're going to be like, damn, we got a lot of kids that's boycotting public school. I wonder why. Well, we do have funding for transgender education. It's like these people only react to protest, right? That's what Bud Light showed me. They didn't finally offer an apology until their company was damn near underwater, about to bankrupt themselves. Then they want to offer their apology. And that's what you're going to have to do with these people here in the education institutions. You have to make them serious. You have to let them know how serious you are at rejecting this stuff. But that's just some of my thoughts. I would like to hear yours in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on Elon's motivations for being against the woke mind virus? And I want to hear your thoughts about the woke mind virus. And why do you believe that the left push this ideology, this miseducation, this misinformation as truth? And a part of me thinks it's an extension of the progressives eugenics movement, where they try to keep undesirables from reproducing. And transgenderism is essentially in that same lane, in my view, anyway. I'd like to hear your thoughts, though. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.